I've been studying all of you for the last 24 hours. So I know a little bit about you guys. We're going to learn a lot today. My name is Christian Burke. I work in Microsoft Teams Engineering. I spent the last couple of years helping our customers get from Skype on-prem to Skype online. And then that charter changed to Teams. And so everything I do is living and breathing Teams, go all around the world. I think it was 22 countries last year, 58 cities or something like that. And all I do is live and breathe getting our customers to Teams. So we've learned a lot about how to get it done. So we asked you guys to fill out some profiles, and they're pretty cool. And we're going to share some of those today. We're going to look through some of that content. But before I get too deep into that, let me just show you a couple things about what we're going to talk about. And then we're going to get into it. What I really want out of today is I'm not here to do a 6.5-hour prezo. That's why I said he's going to work his butt off with the mic. He's not going to keep up with you guys. He's going to try. But I really would rather, the reason why there's no times on here is we're just going to go wherever we have to go. I live with customers doing workshops, spending a whole day with them, 2 days, 6 months, a year, whatever it takes. And I just kind of know what it is we need to get to. And I know the stuff we need to cover to get there. So I don't really care how we get there, as long as we do. So what I want you to think through is, if there's something that's bugging you, like, okay, I know half of you are going to ask for, I need feature X. So that's fine. We'll cover that, right? And however much time we need to spend, I'll figure out how to get us there anyway. But the idea of this workshop is it's super interactive. It's more conversation. This is more about you guys learning from each other, and then me injecting what it is I know, right? And if we can do that, then everyone's going to come out with a whole lot better knowing what they're going to do with Teams. Some of you are well on your way. Some of you are just getting started. I read your profiles that you submitted. Some of you didn't have a whole lot of words. Some of you were very verbose, and that was great. I'm actually going to share 7 profiles today because we had to figure out how to cut it down from 23 customers, because we can't do 23. So we're going to pick 7. We're going to learn from those. And then we'll figure out what to do next. And so after today, you know, you still have your Microsoft account team in most of your cases that it's very all over you based on your size and, you know, where you're trying to go. And if so, then you'll be able to learn what you saw today and basically take that and go apply it to yourselves. And maybe 1 or 2 of you towards the end of the day are actually going to get a little bit of a deeper dive with us collectively, and we'll figure it out together. It will be a pretty cool day. But as you see, like, here's the major topics, recurring themes. I've been out to dozens of customers now, helped some of the largest get over the line and get completed in their Teams journey, including Enterprise Voice. So we made it this year in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for UC as a service into the Leaders Quadrant ahead of Cisco. Due to us developing and moving the product along, and also being able to share some of our customers with Gartner and have them talk with them. And they said, okay, you guys are legit. You can do this now. So it doesn't mean we're done, but it means we are well on our way. And Gartner agrees. So that's good. That was our first year we made it there. So I'll talk about those recurring themes and what they mean to why they were recurring themes to every one of the customers that I've successfully moved over thus far. Customer readiness. This is really like, what does it take? I want to ask you guys in a minute. I just want titles, but I kind of have an idea what it takes as far as the village on your side and on our side and on your partner side and so on. And we're going to want to, that'll be a pretty quick session. Customer profiles, those will be fun. I just did those at 3 this morning. I don't sleep. So I did 7 profiles from 3 to 6, and I spit them out there on the screen. We're going to be doing some telemetry. We're going to look through data today, your data, I'm allowed to. I'm in engineering. But none of it's PII, just if anyone's concerned. We did also ask you guys, by the way, did you mind sharing your company name? Those 7 profiles, I made up names because I'm not sure how much you thought might be shared. When you said, yeah, go ahead, use my name, Kohler or whoever it is in the room. And I didn't, so I just kind of erased the name out, put something else. But feel free to share your company name and whatever you feel at liberty to share. I would rather work with real companies than fake ones. So as we get through it today, we'll figure that out. Obsession with quality. For me, this is the cornerstone to a successful deployment. It was in Skype, and it is more so in Teams. And it is in 100% of the customers that I have met, it's the most overlooked part of their deployment. Almost every customer I've met is flying almost completely blind in rolling this out. And one company on the 26, 23 or whatever that signed up has done most of what I wanted them to do. Not like I asked you to do any homework, but where they're actually at in their plan. That doesn't mean those that haven't, that it's too late, or that if you're just getting started, then this is a perfect time, right? It's never too soon, but some of you, you're not late, you're just getting started, but some of you might have to go back and do that. And we're gonna get into that quality thing really, really, really deep today. In fact, that's where I'm gonna spend most of the time. Because if you get that right, and you can see everything that's going on with your users, you know what they're doing, how they're using it, how successful they are, if it's working when they use it, and you also know how they feel about it, and you match all that up, you're going to move faster, you're going to move with more confidence, you're going to know what the heck you're doing, you'll be able to report up into leadership and across the organization to make changes where you need to, and you're going to look like rock stars. And it's going to be a really, really successful project. I just did, we did the same exercise with a medical care company, Fresenius Medical Care. They're now a reference, so I can talk about them. Fresenius Medical Care, 60,000 users out of the Boston area. They're worldwide, German-owned company, and they have a US subsidiary that's 60,000 users. Their German is about 60,000 as well. They flipped the switch on Teams only mode. I'm sure most of you are familiar with what that is. Teams only mode last Friday, a week ago Friday, for all 60,000 users over a weekend. So if you think you're going to take a year and a half to do that, you can do it in a weekend. And Monday morning, everyone came in, and they were all in Teams only mode, and their Skype or whatever else they were using was gone. And what did they do? They threw a party. Because they had already gone through their testing and everything else, and they realized the phone probably wasn't going to ring. And it didn't. In fact, their party was kind of dead. Because it was kind of like, yeah, fine, Teams it is. Because they were all prepared. They were all ready to go. And so they did all their homework up front, and they got it done. So we'll go through some of those strategies and show what that might look like. The I need feature X is what everybody, when they're unsure about how to use and how to deploy the product, that's probably what everyone leans on the most, especially if this is an IT exercise. And it's really easy to say, oh man, I don't have busy on busy. I can't do anything. I'm stuck. You know, if we don't have that feature, we can't roll out. Yeah, you can. If you're going to wait for Microsoft to finish every feature that you ever wanted, you can wait a couple more years. You'll be the last to go. This is the fastest growing product in Microsoft's history. And we are actually having a hard time keeping up with the onboarding of customers into the service. With all of the provisioning servers we've built out there, they're running at max. So if you think you're going to wait for feature whatever, you will no longer be considered a thought leader in your industry. You will be considered running a little behind. So the goal is to figure out how to get all this done, and I have some magic dates that you should probably be tracking towards. So as we look through these profiles, you'll look to and see how that applies to you. Go from there, and we'll figure out how to adjust accordingly. Adoption and change management. Okay, I kind of want to do this, but I'm not quite sure when. That's fine, I'll wait. Adoption and change management. This is a great big ACM exercise disguised as an IT project. So this, as much as IT needs to get this thing rolled out right, if it's done successfully, it is an adoption and change management exercise. Every customer that's been successful has had a fantastic program, either through homegrown, through partners, through Microsoft, of course, through our customer success unit. I think they're the ones that invited you to this. Great. And Fast Track Center and so on. You have your resources. This is the part you really, really need to double down on if you want this to go well. Otherwise, all of your users will hang on to what they had until you rip it out of their cold, dead hands. And it's true. So we'll talk about that. I'm not going to spend much time on ACM, to be honest with you, because I'm not an ACM expert. I'm only an ACM guy by observation, because my job is to get it rolled out there, and I know all the building blocks, and that building block is handled very well by your customer success unit and or the Fast Track Center. And they do a really good job. So I'll spend a couple of pages on there, but we're going to be layering in adoption and change management all day long. Okay. Plan building blocks. When you see what a plan looks like, we're just going to define those building blocks, and we're going to take a customer or two, and we're actually going to figure out what their plan might look like. You might already have a plan that was born by your partner or by your IT team or whoever, and it'll be interesting to lay it up against what we might build today, provided we have time. Andrew swears that there's no way I'm going to get this done in 6.5 hours, but we're going to try. My internal clock's pretty good at this, so I think we can pull it off. That's why I asked for a working lunch, by the way. We'll take a few minutes, break, get some food, come back, sit down, and just keep going. But there's really a lot to cover. I could do this for 5 days straight and not come up for air. We're doing this in 6.5. Any of you going to Ignite? Okay, cool. I'm doing actually not a bootleg, but it's not on the official calendar like I would normally do, or the agenda, whatever. I'm doing these 2.5-hour quality workshops. You're going to get a bunch of it today. It might be redundant, but it's going to be a morning session at the Rosen Center, and then it's going to be an afternoon session at the Rosen Center, and it'll be just almost, it's 2.5 hours on quality, because that's the cornerstone. If you get that right, you do really well. So yeah, final thoughts, then that'll be that. So talked about me. I lead the reference customer program. So in Teams Engineering, we have your customer program managers, like Dave Lee Olmsted and like Andrew. And they sit all around the world helping our most valuable customers figure out how to get to Teams for all workloads. I focused on the toughest workloads, calling, meetings, and devices. So the real-time media parts. So that's the stuff I care about, because if you get that right, everything else seems to fall into place. As reference, I care about you doing everything perfectly right, beginning to end. And if you can't, I don't want to work with you. We need our reference customers that are out there telling the world about how Teams works, and whether it works or what's broken or not, it needs to be accurate. And look, things not perfect. It's not done, right? So we know, but we just want to make sure that when our customers are out there representing us, that they represented exactly how it is and where it's going and so on. So that's what I'm focused on. And that little middle box right there, oh, watch this. This is cool. Who? That guy right there. This is kind of the cornerstone of what my engagements used to look like. And it was, we, right out of the gates, if you don't have a plan, not interested. So let's go figure out a plan. Let's make sure this is a sponsored project, because in the end, if this is going to be born from IT and grown up through IT, it is likely not to do great. If this is not a top-down exercise, you are likely to struggle. IT is measured on usually customer satisfaction or user satisfaction, and this is a bumpy ride. IT is going to focus really hard on smoothing it out as much as they can by default, because that's the role. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's going to be bumpy. It's going to be bumpy. And it's leadership that guides you through those bumpy parts. And so active leadership is a super, super important part of this. We actually provide guidance and expertise throughout the project to make sure it gets done. We hold regular cadence calls, and those things start at the top of the hour and they finish at the bottom of the hour. No ifs, ands, or buts. And we make sure that it's reported all the way where it's supposed to in the organization. And of course, blockers, there's plenty. And we figure out how to navigate through them. Figure out what's important and what's not. Cut through the noise and focus on the signal. And we track this official project till it's done. We usually, at the beginning, we come out with something like this. This is usually a first day. This exercise right here is actually shifted over to my coworker Andre Lewis's team, and the best technical program managers in the world are responsible for helping our customers figure out what this looks like. Okay, we're going to do this in the afternoon. These little blocks, I'm going to describe what they are, and there's a bunch more. I'm just going to pick some sample ones because this is your world, right? So you're going to define what you need. This isn't everything, but it covers everything. And that's the important part. Remediation is a great, big, monstrous activity. Okay, it's not just a green box, right? So we're going to go through some of this today, but this is what we do. In order for us to even get going, we need this. How many of you already have some sort of plan, like whatever, looking like this Gantt chart or whatever? Anybody? Like as far as teams goes? Yeah, okay. I mean, you're starting to work it, right? And it's starting to make sense of it. The biggest challenge we find is some people just, this is like, it's nails on a chalkboard for them to get this done because they're so risk averse. You know, I say, what color is the sky? And it's like 150 words. And then leadership comes in and goes, I say, what color is the sky? And he goes, it's blue. Why are you asking me that stupid question? You know? And that's why you need leadership to help you make these decisions. But I do. Leadership needs to be a part of this. This is not an IT exercise. Leadership needs to be a part of this. It's super, super important because they're going to help you get to the end and figure out what that means. Someone's going to pick a date. This guy right here, somebody's going to pick a date. And it's likely going to be leadership. So keep going, come on. Here's some other ones. You know, I got dozens of these. And they're all different because every customer is different. They have their own set of issues. Some are rolling out Office 365 still. And some of you are too, I noticed. Other ones, this one's a real estate company, 40,000 users and so on. But they're going to be done. You know, heavy EV shop from on-prem. Every single engagement I do right now is an enterprise voice engagement because as far as reference requests, which I front, there isn't a single customer-to-customer reference request I get that does not include enterprise voice. Every single customer wants to know how to do enterprise voice, and they want to talk with other customers. So you'll always see these little purple ones down here, and you'll see them somewhere in the thing. Actually, my reference customer program version 2 looks like this. This is all I care about. This part in the middle here. Oh, sorry, wrong button. I'm learning how to use this thing today, sorry. This right here is all I care about. All the other stuff, we have your customer program managers, we have your CSU, we have partners, we have others to drive some of these activities. If you get all this stuff right in the middle, everything else is going to work itself out. Even if a user doesn't have a feature that they wanted, if what they have works perfectly, they'll be okay. So if I look here, KPIs. I'm going to show you some basic ones that we use, the ones we care about, how to capture them, the reporting. What are you going to do? Who are you going to share that information with? Who's going to be the person responsible for that? It's the quality champion. It's a new role in your organization. Someone's going to take it on, but it's going to be. You're going to run that through your deployment, and then it's going to live on in operations. This is not a one and done exercise. You're going to use that quality champion to make sure this system stays healthy and that it works. So it's not like a network assessment. You do that, it's a point in time. Network assessments are cute. But to be honest with you, if you have 5, 10, 15, 20,000 Teams clients out there, you're doing network assessments every second. So you're going to use that data to make sure that it stays healthy. And we'll go through some of that today. Reporting, we gave you some really cool tools. I'm going to show you your data in the tools we gave you today. We're going to talk about that and how that works. And then in the operate phase, you've got your governance. Who's going to manage it? Who's responsible for what? IT Pro, how you configure, how you manage, how you provision. Help desk, when the phone rings, is the help desk hiding under the desk right now? Or are they actually taking calls? What are they using to measure if a user calls with a problem? What are they doing about it? And then your NOC. I'm not sure how many of you have NOCs with big boards and all that stuff on the walls, but we got some really cool tools to stick in there now and some big screens, and you can put some cool Teams data on there that gives you near real time, and it's really neat. It works. And then there's some customization that we focus on in my engagement as well. But then as far as reference customers goes, I'm going to show you what that looks like. Oh, no, not till later. Okay. But we actually monitor all of our reference customers to make sure that they stay that way. And if we see something wrong, which I'll show you, we tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, you notice that? And they go, didn't notice. There's one customer we had, this is kind of funny, FIGA. They're out of Germany. They're not big. I think it's 4,000 or 5,000 users. They're all enterprise voice. They're doing really well with it. The quality numbers are off the charts. They're fantastic. And we looked at one day. Anyone knows what rate my call is? You should. Yeah. The little 5 stars at the end of that call every so often. It's 1 out of every 10 times, by the way. And then you rate it 1 to 5 stars, or you just ignore it because you don't feel like it. And most of the time you probably do, unless you're pissed and then you hit 1, right? That's usually what happens. But we know what those numbers should be, even if that persona is accurate. Okay, we know what the numbers should be. It's one of our KPIs. So I'll show you in a while, but the KPI for RMC is basically if your users really love it, it's under 5%. So under 5%, they're hitting 1 or 2 stars. So FIGA was at 48%. And that's bad. It's really bad. It's really, really horribly bad. And it didn't make any sense because their telemetry said that everything was really good, except for that number. And so we called them and they went, I don't know, everything seems great. Okay, so then we went ahead and went medieval with them and we went to figure out what was going on. And we found out because through CQD version 3, which you all have access to, 7 of you have touched it. 1 of you has actually done what you're supposed to do with it. I'll show you guys. We showed them down to the user level what was going on. And it turned out that 75% of all the 1s and 2s came from a single person in a 5,000 U organization. Every single time that thing popped up, it went 1, 1, 1, every single time. out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feedbacks, that person was 75% of all of it. When we wiped that out, the numbers were fantastic. So I don't know what they did to that person. He's in Germany, so there's workers' council, so I don't think they can do a whole lot other than tap him on the shoulder and ask him. But what you can do too is you can filter him out. So with our new tooling, we can do what we need to make sure that the information is accurate. And that's really important. So that's just part of our monitoring effort. Okay, this is a wordy slide. I didn't want to build it. I just wanted to stick it out there because these aren't IT activities. I live in IT. I live in engineering. And to be honest with you, these are the things that matter. And I'm going to go down. This is going to take a little while. I'm going to go down one by one. And I'm super happy to hear your feedback on this. Okay. So I'm going to start with the first one, teams in the Agile software model. This is the first real product that Microsoft built, Agile, which means we don't know the end. It's not a 3-year software cycle. We build something, we ship it. Who's familiar with Agile? Okay, and sprint methodologies and scrums and all that stuff, right? That's teams. So if you're waiting for it to be done, it's never going to be done. If you're waiting for the next box, shrink wrap box, it's never going to show up. If you're waiting for a manual to teach your users how to use it, it's never going to show up. We're going to give you adoption, change management, training content. We already do. But we're not going to lock the interface and stick it there and say, okay, next time a small little micro feature shows up, you get to approve it. It's just going to show up. Just like Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook at work, more like Facebook Messenger, but and so on. The 50 other apps you use on your mobile phone, that's how they go. And they're able to develop rapidly. They're able to get features out into the market very quickly. They're able to iterate. They're able to control the interface. They're able to make sure that everyone gets the same product. Much, 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 much different than Skype for Business ever was, or Link, or wherever it is you started from. This is the modern way to build software, which means you need a modern way to approach it and to think about it. Super, super important. It shouldn't send somebody home sick if they get a new icon on their Teams client. It should just be there. You shouldn't have to lock down the interface because it's too confusing. They should just get it all, and they'll figure it out. I'm actually skipping down. I'm basically, God, why is it echoing so bad right now? I'm going through the top 3 bullets at the same time. Consumer grade tools for the enterprise means if you think about the other apps they use to communicate with their coworkers, friends, family, and so on, they just get these tools. God, why is it echoing so bad? Do I need to go back? You were directly underneath 2 speakers. I'm directly underneath 2 speakers. Okay, I'm going to hide in this little pocket of whatever boredom. Fine. Consumer grade tools for the enterprise. The idea is that's the way software rolls out these days. This is what your users are so familiar with. If you approach software like that, they're going to take it on really quickly. It's going to just work like it's supposed to if you built it right. And they'll just, if a new feature shows up, they'll go, oh, cool. And not, oh my God, I'm sick. I can't handle this. You also, as a leadership, need to adjust to that model to make sure that it's okay for them to start learning and playing and taking on these tools like any other consumer grade tool they have on their mobile device. Because it turns out, like my mom, okay, I use WhatsApp to ping with my mom. I use Signal to ping with my daughter. I use Teams to ping with both of them, and Teams with everybody else. But I have 50 different apps as well. My mom does. And I just can't believe it. Like she could not be less skilled with technology, and that phone is like a no-brainer for her. And you know that. All of your users are the same way. But the reason why I say users smart, we used to play this game with my reference customers, and we call smart versus stupid. And the idea was, I would ask customer, are your users smart or are they stupid? And I'm being a little graphic for a reason, because sometimes they go, oh, God, they're so dumb, they just don't know. And I go, well, that's actually not true. It turns out all of your users are really smart. Sometimes when they come into work, the way you force them to use the tools you gave them makes them stupid. But they're not. They're struggling to use the tools as you're telling them to. Where the other tools that they have, no brainer. They just use them. So if you really want teams to go well, treat them like they're smart. Don't take the features away, just leave them there and let them try. So what if they have 2 chat apps? They have 8 chat apps already for their personal life. Give them 2 chat apps. If you're going through a transition from Skype to Teams, give them 2 chat apps. So what? They'll figure it out. When I ping Andrew and he doesn't answer on Skype, I'll see if he's using it on Teams. We'll figure it out. When I go, dude, I've been trying to reach you. He goes, I'm not using Skype anymore. I'm using Teams. Like, oh, okay, cool. Now I know. Problem solved. I'm being very generic in general, but to be honest with you, for every one of our customers that's taken that mentality, they've moved very, very quickly. And they knew that when they got to the other side, to where Teams was, that's the place they wanted to be. If they just took that approach and tried not to figure out how to interop and how to connect Skype with Teams and Skype with this and Teams with that and Jabber to Teams interface and all that other stuff, and they just went, they found people picked it up really, really quickly, and they just adjusted and they got there fast. Sure, you have your laggards that are going to be vocal and complain, and they'll be the vocal minority, but the vast majority of your users will do just fine. Everyone gets Teams. I don't know that I saw one customer that I reviewed that Teams was fully deployed. I think I might have seen one where Teams was fully deployed. And I looked as of January 2019, and that is about 10 months. The most successful Teams deployments are done with coexistence between Skype and Teams of about 3 to 6 months. Those are the ones that do the best. So I'm curious to you, how far along are you? How long has it taken so far? Yeah.
When we tried a team mode and not work well, when we talked about it, we said, we're going to do this, we're going to do it like IT first, not just like the slide showed.
Yeah.
Am I talking about that over there? Do I need this? Okay. So we did roll out in groups, and we were going to do this whole test thing. And then what we found was we're across the country, and so
Okay.
we have corporate offices, and we have local markets in 16 different states. And so what ended up happening is the people that were not on Skype or not on Teams, were not able to communicate effectively with the people who were on Teams only mode, and it was a nightmare. So
yeah,
we rolled it back, and we said, we're not ready for this right now.
yeah. And you just defined everyone gets Teams.
That's what we said. We have to go to a big bang approach because we weren't ready to pull that.
Fantastic. Yeah, the idea is everyone gets Teams. So every customer I go into, whether it's Heineken, 80,000 users, or we got a bunch of them. The first thing I say is, okay, great, remediation, we got to go get things working. But there's a day that everyone's going to get, how quickly can you get the Teams client out to every desktop and every mobile device possible? how quickly can you get it out there? That's one of the first exercises. And some say I can do it in 3 weeks because it's 50,000 users. Some say it's going to take me 6 months because we're doing it with refresh on Windows 10. Nope, blow that out. Forget that. Everyone gets Teams. Everyone gets Teams, because then what he described won't happen. They will go, hey, I tried to reach someone on Skype and they didn't respond. Maybe, maybe not. But if you have a reasonable expectation that when you send a message to somebody on Teams, that the other person is supposed to have received it, you are home free. Now, it's up to them to decide whether they want to reply, right? But if you have an expectation that they should have received that message, Teams will work. It will grow. And at some point, there'll be that cool negative reinforcement thing. Say, hey, dude, why didn't you reply to my message on Teams? Just lazy using it. Well, everyone else on your team is using it, so let's go. It'll go. That's the notion of everyone gets Teams. It's really, 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 really important to figure out how to take that leap and get that Teams client out to everybody possible. I don't care how many apps they're running. I don't care if there's 2 ways to chat to IM. If you get it out there and it's sitting on the desktop and it's working, and there's a little red dot on there every so often that says, hey, you got a message? Cool. You're doing well. It's a big, big step. Pilot groups are fine. You're doing that. It's a controlled environment. You know who is in your pilot group. You know that it's only you that are playing in this sandbox, and that's fun and all. But when you start to get it to the general population, there is a big bang at the beginning of getting the Teams client out there. And then there's the rest. Okay. There's also the big bang at the end when you switch everybody to Teams only mode. Those are the 2 big moments. And in between there is, what are we going to do to smoothen the ride as best we can, but not get too hung up on it? Andrew also brought up a really good point at Harry Carey's at the hotel last night, was that when I talked about active leadership before, is another big success mark for all of this is to define when that cutover is. And leadership delivers that message. So Teams only mode, when are you going to flip the switch? Is it January 30th? Fine, that's what it is. For Fresenius Medical Care, it was October 11th. They set that date for all 60,000 users. They got them trained and taught. They did the best they could. They got really good at quality. They figured everything out, but they told every user, and they got the CIO to deliver that message. October 11th is our day. And that's that. And now we go. On October 14th, when you come into the office, this will be your new day. And that was it. And they went. That's the notion of everyone gets Teams. Set those goalposts for the beginning. And then everyone gets Teams only at the end. And then we go race like crazy to figure out how to get it right in the middle. So before then, your pilot, figure out what it is you need to get right. And then in that space in the between, it's game time. What's most of that? Change management, right? I mean, you need to get the message out there to users. You need to get them excited. And there's a million ways to do that. And people ask me all the time, what are some of the cool things that our customers have done for change management? And I tell them all the time, oh, you know what? I'm kind of skipping ahead. Let me come back for a minute. No, you know what? Let's just get it done. That great change, excuse me, that great big change management exercise, people ask me, what's the best way to do it? And I go, every way is the best way to do it. I don't care what it is. Whatever it is you're doing, more than nothing, is a great way. There is no magic formula. If you do it and you show the effort and you show the respect to your employees and your users and so on that you're trying, that's gold. And it works. And you get them trained, you do whatever it is, you do lunch and learns, you do tech desks, you do workshops, you do recorded, you do VOD, you do lunch, classroom training, whatever it is your method is, get it out there, do it. You do posters in the bathrooms. We don't really care. Do it. Do everything you possibly can. Your users will love you for it. Mobile drives adoption. I talked about the mobile device. I talked about, it's the most, I don't have it on me, but it's, that thing's the most technologically advanced product you have. Is, live in your daily lives. And almost every one of your users uses it like it's nothing. It's the ultimate change management tool because it's super non-intimidating, not like the desktop that's locked down and, everything at the desk at work and so on. You can take it with you. The mobile client for Teams is a first-class citizen and then some. I usually turn to my mobile client before I turn to my desktop client, even to join meetings, because I can walk around. I'm mobile all the time. I'm always on the road. I have my headset in my ear. I have my phone in my pocket. I'm just rolling along like, oh, what did I do? Sorry. Let's go back. How many of you are actually pushing the mobile client or promoting the mobile client as you start to roll out Teams? Man, I knew it. Just a few. I looked at one of the customers that I was profiling and I saw it was something like 1% of their users had the Teams client on mobile. The average in the industry is 22%. I want 80. My customers that are most successful rolling Teams out, 80% usage on the mobile client. Their users, and what we see is after that, their users use it religiously, Teams. It's the first app they turn to every morning, during the day, when they're leaving. Okay, so the big question is, well, we don't give our employees devices, and so, they don't want to use Teams on their personal device. BS. That's not true. There will be some laggards that will not. They'll stomp their feet and they'll stay in the corner. They won't do it. But the rest would love to. They're probably already using iMessage. I mean, pick one to communicate with their coworkers already because you probably haven't given them real tools to communicate with each other. If they're using the Skype client on mobile, that thing's a disaster. All right, that's not a real tool to communicate with somebody on the go. Okay, it's not. Teams client, it's killer.
Question for the room.
Yeah.
For those of you who said no, that you're not pushing Teams mobile client, are you disabling users from going to the App Store and downloading mobile applications on their phone? Are you okay, so making it super, super simple for them to do shadow IT. Because what they're going to do is they're going to go choose something that's appealing, that's accessible, that's within their span of control, that's something that their friends are on. Work is a social experience. They're going to want to cohere with work. They're going to pick their own. And now you're going to have a whole crap ton of shadow IT. This is an existential threat. You need to have something on the menu that they find appealing. Teams mobile client is super appealing, and it allows you to say, hey, that stuff that you're creating a reference for, that's an outstanding demand. It tells you they want to work with each other. They want to talk with each other formally and informally. They want to get together in one spot. If IT is not providing that, that's okay. They'll fund it on their own.
Yep.
So you want to make sure that you're giving something you actually want to use.
You don't have to mandate it.
Yeah, it will be a benefit.
But you can promote it.
Something you can choose to use.
How much easier will your life be if you can handle that call, that meeting, that chat, that whatever from wherever you're at? I mean, it's not real. I mean, it's not. Why am I really struggling with this mic? I really got to hide from the zone. So yeah, I mean, honestly, like every one of our customers that has rapid and rabid adoption and high usage, and I mean big numbers, the silver bullet there was a mobile client. first and foremost. I've seen the numbers. We use them every day. It's a mobile client. Get that into your methodology and your planning immediately. Figure out a way, even if it's just a message. I have like Heineken. They went, well, we're just going to push it out to all the mobile clients. They did it 80,000 users in like 4 weeks. They just went done. They shipped the Outlook client. They did 3. They shipped the Outlook client, the Teams client, and I think they did OneDrive. I think it was those 3 that they pushed. Anyway, and then those users don't want it, fine, uninstall it, knock yourself out. We don't really care, but they pushed it out to even personal devices, whatever it was. Anything that was registered as an employee, they pushed. Again, people will push back, fine. You have your corporate, policies and all those things, and figure out how to deal with that. Otherwise, encourage. Next, keep coexistence short. I already said the best, most successful ones have gone 3 to 6 months. That's a really fuzzy number because sometimes it's not really 3 to 6 months. It could be for 80 or 90% of your users, and then there's going to be 10% that are in a contact center that need compliance call recording, which we haven't finished yet, blah, 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 blah. But I mean, for the lion's share of your users, keep that coexistence short. If you do really well. That's that confusion phase. But again, that should be leadership to define. And then it's up to you to keep up with it and figure out how to make the best it can be. And then there we are. Active leadership is key to success. Okay. The more you can lean on your leadership to help guide you over the bumpy parts, the more successful you'll be, because there will be bumpy parts. Plain as day. Okay. So let them do that driving. I talked about change management. Okay, here's my fun ones. These are the ones I like the most. For all of you IT in the room, yeah, go build the foundation. And what I mean is get teams sorted, get it so you can see everything that's going on, get that base correct. Don't worry about your ultra advanced features now. They will show up. Go figure out how to get that base working now. Obsess over quality. If you do quality right, you're going to do really, really, really well. And I'm going to show you more of that a little bit later, and actually pretty soon. And the third pillar there is master it in operations. Like I said before, it is not a one and done activity. It's something you should be doing every day. Somebody should be managing that. Somebody should own that. I heard product owner. There's going to be a quality owner. You're probably already doing it in other products. I would say one of the most overlooked skill sets, important, whatever, in Skype was their Cisco system had architects and engineers, and they had telemetry and all this data. And then I go, what are you doing with Skype? They go, what do you mean? Well, how are you managing quality and telemetry and all that? Well, what are you talking about? Why would we do that? You do with Cisco? Yeah, of course we do. Why don't you do with Skype? I don't know. Why don't you? So you're going to do it with Teams. Just like your telephony, and just like your meeting solutions, whatever it is you're using, you're going to do the same thing with Teams. And we've given you some awesome freaking tools to do it. And I'll show you through some of that today. If you look at this, I go, everyone gets Teams, and at the bottom, enable advanced workloads over time. I'll show you a lot of examples where enterprise voice can take its time. I'll go back to Heineken, and I promise I'll pick someone else. They rolled it out to 80,000 users, got it done, got the Teams client out there in a few weeks. They messaged, communicated, change management, and so on. And in the meantime, they went and built their direct routing enterprise voice infrastructure. They built it through a partner, a carrier, Orange Business Systems, OBS. They got all that built up, and then they took their 4,000 users that they had on Skype on-prem, and they moved them first. That way they could take out that infrastructure and be done. That was the only thing that was leaving them on-prem at all. And now the rest of their lives, as a PBX gets old, as an opco decides they want to go to Teams for voice, whatever it is, they'll just pinch them off one by one by one by one. They're going to take 2 years to get there. They don't care. That's fine because everyone's got Teams. It's working fine. If they want to get rid of the brick on the desk, they can get rid of it whenever they want. What they're finding is the opcos, instead of resisting, they're saying, hey, can we be next on the Teams list? Because they're seeing how valuable it is. So those advanced workloads over time, don't freak out if you don't have it the way you want. There's a million other things to go do now. Go do that now. It will show up. The features or the functions or the use case scenarios that you need will be there. I do roadmap sessions with my customers all the time. I gotta stay out of that hole. It's right there. It's right there. The roadmap, I do roadmap sessions with my customers all the time. You have account teams. If you have engineering plugged in, you get really, really cool roadmap decks that you don't get to keep that have some really cool stuff on them. And for us in engineering, for our reference customers, if somebody needs to know a little bit more about something that's coming, we can plug them into the person that's writing it and help them understand, or the product owner, know how to exactly what that's going to look like. Everyone wants like dynamic E911, yeah, showing up like almost now. They want to know how it works, what it looks like. Great. We arrange some meetings with them. We'll do a 1 hour work with the product owner, and he'll walk them or she'll walk them through it, right? That type of thing. So the roadmaps are fine. Like you'll get the confidence you need, but go get it built, and then worry about those more tough advanced ones over time. Figure out how to put in your plan that, and not building the ultimate mousetrap. This should not be a Gantt chart that has every step in it before you start. That's not what this is going to look like. We're building Agile. You should deploy Agile as well. And that means you only know what's going on. You have an idea where you want to go, but you may not know the entire formula until you get down the road some. And you have to keep doing that and iterating on that. And so that changes. Our partners are having to change the way they do statements of work and how they help you deploy teams, because it's no longer that type of exercise. They can't put a $2.5 million sow out there that says, here's exactly what we're going to do. It doesn't work that way anymore. So, and if they're trying to do that, you kind of got to drag them into the new way. But you got to be willing to go there yourself. You know, it's a change. When I showed the quality, these are some of the call quality dashboards and all that stuff. I'm going to show you through some of that in a bit. I'm going to cover this and we'll take a few minute break. Okay, we got through that in about 40, 45 minutes. See, Andrew, I told you. I told you. This can take just a few minutes because we pretty much covered them all. Every customer, when I go to work with them, they must actively, consciously check off every single one of these boxes if they want engineering's deep engagement, right? Active executive sponsor, I want the VP or the CIO's phone number. You know, we're never going to call it, but we want to know that this is happening from the top down. Even if IT is the one that's driving it, active leadership. Clearly defined business outcomes, that should be pretty obvious, but how many of you have a digital workplace transformation initiative in your organization? Cool. Yes, not all of you. That should be first and foremost number one. That's the best business outcome you could ask for, is everyone says we're going to be 100% cloud, we're going to have an entirely mobile workforce, We are going to change the way we provide value to our customers, and we're going to do it through technology. Whatever it is, there's a high-level pitch, and then there's the devil in the details. We need those, and you need those if you want teams to really, really work. Needs to be a sponsored project with PMs assigned, and they need to drive that project. Even if it's agile and it's shifting and changing, we still have goalposts, we still have milestones. We're going to do that. Project teams and execution resources in place. So who's going to go do all the work? I did read a few of your bios. One of them said, yeah, we're really struggling with the resources to go do this. Absolutely, totally understand. That's real, especially when there seem to be about 50 different initiatives out there in some organizations, and they're like, the same person that's doing the Exchange online enablement is now going to have to do Teams, and they're busy over doing that, and the networking team's trying to build the network to get it right, and you're moving to SD-WAN and all this other stuff, and it's like, we just can't do it all at the same time, and you're totally right. And if you have to wait, you have to wait. But make sure that you have the resources in place, because it'll go wrong. So if it's hiring a partner, and you can see where that top checkbox becomes really, really important, because if you try and do it all by yourself because somebody told you to, unless you can go back and tell that top box, hey, we need more. We can't do it alone. We need more resources. We need more money. We need more whatever. If that person at the top isn't the one taking the responsibility for that, you're going to struggle. You struggle. It doesn't turn itself on. If you want to do it right, you got to put a little work into it. It'll be the best thing you ever did. And we have living proof out there already. Teams capabilities, median scope, scenario requirements. That means whatever it is you're going to turn on is how we've completed it. So a feature. So we have this notion in Agile development called crawl, walk, run. So we say, okay, go build. She's busy on busy again. We get it out the door. Customer goes, oh, wow, it's missing this and that and that and this. Yeah, it's the crawl. When are you going to get that done? When we walk. And when is it going to work everywhere for everything perfectly, and like we always wanted it to? That's when we run. So we get it out the door. It's good. A little while later, it's great. And at the end, it's incredible. And it's brainless, and it works. Oops, I keep doing it. So take the features for how they are. They'll get there. There are going to be some critical features that you need, and you're going to have to measure how important that is to you and how that is to your deployment. But the rest of them, they'll continue to get better and better and better. How many of you in teams are noticing kind of that phenomenon where something didn't quite work or it just didn't meet your expectations, and then a couple months later it just kind of showed up? Yeah, like. Yeah.
I guess rolling out to our users.
Yeah.
We'd have to meet the expectation that it would do everything that Skype would do. Otherwise, we're going to get pushback. So some of the things we did see were hard time adding external users to meetings, a hard time adding users to meetings. Say you're in an active meeting, bringing someone else in. Those are some of the things we saw early on. That,
early on.
Pulled us back. We kind of took a step back at that point, mostly for bandwidth. Like you said, we have a lot of stuff going on, but also to take a step back and say, is there a true migration path here? Or are we going to have to figure out a way to do some sort of big bang migration? But the small group of people that we did have on it, we were kind of hitting it, seeing what the limitations were, and we ran across a few things. So I guess for us to be comfortable giving it to our users, it would be, we would hopefully expect that it would do everything Skype would do. Otherwise, we're going to get pushback against us saying, why did we move to this if it's
Yeah.
not as good as the tool we're currently using? So
Yeah, call that feature parity, right?
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Okay. Depending on how you think about it, never in a day. That's the honest truth. There are some things that we're not going to bring forward because people didn't use them, or that's not the way Teams works. I always used a classic one around contacts and their contact groups. Yes, we actually migrate contact groups, right? So from Skype to Teams, and sometimes it doesn't work. And then the user gets a blank contact list. If they let that sit there for about 3 or 4 days, and while they're using Teams, they'll realize that they don't use contact groups or contact lists the way they used them in the past. So there are many of those features that we're not going to bring forward because they're not designed to work that way in Teams. That said, we do have some gaps to fill too. We know that.
At the very least, we kind of want to know the stuff that wasn't going to bring brought forward, so we can pass that on to our users.
Yeah, yeah. 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 That's the I need feature X. That's one of the big challenges is when you see the clearly defined business outcomes right there. There's another exercise around adoption and change management about user personas and that type of definition. When you think about rolling out the product more as solving business problems as opposed to what I click on or how I'm used to working, that changes. That changes the perception that a person needs that feature or not. And I'm not saying that because we're running behind on moving features over. We genuinely do not feel that many of the features that you need, that you thought you needed, you actually need. And you may not get a list of what you're not going to get. That may not happen. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah. No. Dude, bring it. I'm serious. Like,
It just seems like there's no need what up to us what it kind of comes across to is we're deciding what you need, even though your users use these features. We've decided you don't need them. And for us, I guess I come from the IT side.
yeah.
We're going to get major blowback and pushback from the business if we take away tools that they're using, I guess is where I'm coming from. So
Yeah. I would curious, what about the features that are coming that Skype never had? How are they being received?
such as
Because Teams is not Skype 2.0, right?
correct, yeah, it's a different product.
It's a completely different product. Yeah.
So, and I don't mean mic up pretty loud. In this, respectfully, in the spirit of collegial support, I'm IT too, but I'm a business executive type chops. That's how I explain myself. I'm definitely more operations, right? So when I'm talking to the top tier of our organization, our new president and beyond, CFO, et cetera, my challenge to them is, and I do portray Microsoft this way, you guys have your fingers on the pulse of millions of companies and how they do it. So what we think we need is because of our comfort zone. We now have to challenge ourselves to think differently about how we conduct our business processes, because my argument is we've got so much at our disposal we're not even using. We generate bytes of data, I don't even know the number, per day that no one looks at, and after 30 days it gets purged. And I use that example to my business executives when they say, but we need X because we've always. And I say, why? Why do you need it? Tell me why that will help you going forward. So if that helps you in those conversations, to try to start getting, and believe me, in my career, I used to always say the software should work for the business process. When things were on-prem, when you had developers sitting there coding, now with cloud and the agility and how fast upgrades happen, I challenge how does the business process work now to meet the tool. because the tool just changes to keep up with the demands of the industry. Take that for what it's worth.
No, I mean, I want to give you a hug right now, but it'd be awkward. But I mean,
That's awesome.
but no, I mean, you nailed it. That's it.
You telling your executives that, now you kind of respectfully thrown down to them. Maybe you should think outside the box a little bit, dollar salary, right? And they kind of take it.
It's true.
65-year-old CTO who now doesn't use email. He uses Teams and OneNote. And he will tell people, don't email me, get on Teams.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah,
So
it's true. I mean, you nailed it. I mean, that was perfect. It's not Microsoft being, big bad whatever. It's the way that's the way the industry is going. We're being challenged by our customers, by the leadership of our customers, to do exactly that. We're not doing it because we're lazy. We're doing it because that's what's considered being a thought leader in your industry, and that's the core of it. That's one of the reasons why I always challenge, if this is being run as an IT project, you are going to constantly meet against that resistance. If I had this thing over here that I always used, I need that. And they may not need that, but it will be very tough for IT to deliver that message. It's going to require somebody else. If you do, you're going to do really well. David.
To the gentleman who is saying, hey, we decided we needed to all that. That's a very, very common question.
To the folks that were saying, hey, our users are saying the new thing has to look like the old thing, but with a different logo, 100% feature parity, it's all got to be there. What you're hearing is actually a very human thing. I don't want to change. I have other things I'm worried about. Make it so the world stops spinning. I want to get off. That's a useless conversation for most of us because it doesn't go anywhere useful. The counter question that you probably want to queue up is, great, while we're not giving them something that they want, what are they finding on their own? How are they fulfilling their needs? What are they doing to get the job done? And when you ask that second question, you uncover some really shocking things. Things like users whipping out their personal cell phone that they swore up, down, left, right, and sideways they were never going to run a work-related application on. They will take a picture of that intellectual property and they will text it in the clear to their coworkers, to their group chat, to their iMessage, to the Snapchat group. And they will swear they needed to do it because they needed the tool to get the job done. And you go, aha, this is diagnostic. This tells me there is an unmet need my users are going to go fill. Let's go figure out how to fill that in a way that meets what we need from them, because now I'm bringing them something that's an enhancement to their day job. And I can then go back and shop that to the rest of the organization. Legal is going to have kittens when they see that SMS text. You can say, hey, folks, what if we could do the same thing in a secure, controlled messaging environment that when somebody leaves the organization, they no longer have access to? Legal will chase you down and say, show me that, I need that. So there are ways you can change the conversation, but none of these exist in a vacuum. And a key critical question when you're talking about the change management stuff that Christian was talking about earlier is, how are people bodging together things to get the job done when you're not looking? Because that's the demand signal you want to go fill.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you. At the same time, I respect what you're saying, because it's really important that we do deliver on some things, and some we're still working on. There could be. I run up against them all the time. I run against my own personal experience all the time on a couple of them. Just meeting join, like presenter attendee modes and things like that. I had a customer ask me. I'm gonna spend a couple more minutes on that, just right around the meeting experience, because that's probably where it's most familiar for people, is the meeting experience in Skype versus Teams. First of all, if you just use meetings for Teams, you'll notice that it's way better than a meeting in Skype. Features be damned. Okay, it's just a better experience. I use video all the time now, and I never used it on Skype. Great, networking has a heart attack. Okay, fine, go to your Starbucks and it'll work just fine. But features, the attendee role, the muting the audience and all that stuff. When you join right now, I'm going to give you a few of them. When you join via PSTN right now, if you mute yourself, you can't unmute yourself. That's a problem. Okay, so you're stuck muted, and it's a problem as a dial-in user, but everyone else can. If you mute the audience, it will mute everyone but the PSTN user. There's some wonky stuff like that that we're working on, that we're getting better. People find their way around it because the experience is so much better. It's so much more reliable. It's so much faster. It's so much clearer. It's just a better machine. It's not a 15-year-old developed product. It's new, and it's built on a modern architecture. And if you get that platform right, they'll deal with it. But those features are going to show up anyway. Some of those meeting features we are working on, and they'll be out, I think, this quarter, and that's good. But our meeting usage is through the roof, as is. Simple as that. There's tens of millions of people already using it for meetings. Why is it okay for them? And it's because of what you said. Because it's time to get with the 90s. You know? And I mean, in all honesty, like, everyone's going on the ride. This is a ride. You know? Simple as that. So, by the way, I don't work in sales, like I said. I work in engineering. And I want to make that, I kind of want to leverage that for a second, that all I care about is how well it works and how successful you are in rolling it out. I'm not really, I'm not here to sell you anything. You know what I mean? I have a little bit of a luxury in that over the past year and a half, I've worked with dozens of customers, like I said at the beginning, in getting this done. So I just get to share what we've done, not what I'm trying to get you to do. You know, in the end, I leave here today, and you guys go keep doing what you're doing, right? I'm not like incentivized by how much you go use tomorrow, right? I just care that you know what we've learned from our other customers and how we've been successful in light of that really valuable comment about features. You know, it's really, really important to understand. So I can just tell you how our other customers have been successful to get past that. So a couple more things in here real quick, and then we'll finish this off. We'll take a break. Prioritize calling meetings and mobile scenarios. For me, all I care about is the advanced workloads. So that's important. That's not necessarily a qualifier for you, though. Okay. You should make it a qualifier, because if you're going to give people Teams and not let them use it for meetings, you're hamstringing the product. If you cut out meetings, if you cut out calling, you're cutting out some of the cores of how it's been designed. And so people roll out Teams in collab only mode because they don't want to confuse their users. So they give them they keep Skype on the side to use for calling and chat and so on, and they only use Teams in collab mode. And I have some customers that said, hey, that's a good idea, but the vast majority was, it's not a good idea. You have to have a real interesting case as to why you would want to do that. You should roll out Teams for everything and let them figure it out. Now, great, messaging, change management, and all that stuff. But the reason why I prioritize calling meetings in mobile scenarios for everyone, not just my customers, is if you're going to go make this product work right out of the gate, you need to focus on meetings and calling in mobile scenarios. If you wait to when you think you're going to roll it out for meetings, I'm telling you, you will have had already piles of users already using the product for meetings and calling and so on, and you didn't know it. And they didn't have a great experience, perhaps, and you didn't know it, and you lost them. You lost that chance to get it right the first time. So if you prioritize for meetings, calling, and mobile scenarios from the get-go, then you're going to build the system right. You're going to manage. You're going to monitor it. You're going to watch the telemetry, and you're going to make sure it works well, even if they're not using it very much for meetings and calling and mobile scenarios yet. But when they do, you'll be ready for them, because that's when it gets tough. when bandwidth and all those other things start to play, at least you'll be prepared. So most of my customers that say they don't, I just show them call quality dashboard. I go, that's weird. You had 80,000 streams of real-time media last month. What? Yeah, it says right here. I had no idea. I thought we didn't, yeah, well, they're using the Teams client to do that anyway, because it's there. Like, oh, crap, we got to do something about that. Yeah. So prioritize. That's my obsession of quality, that second to last button. And then I put, 3 @ signs around the last one because that's mine. I want my customers to be reference grade. And so they need to be willing to be a reference customer. So those are the key ones. Questions, comments? I just kind of spewed for an hour and a half. Questions, comments so far? Are you saying, Christian, you're full of it? This is a great big scam? No? Is it making sense? I'm seeing some people paused a little bit, like still skeptical. Maybe I should show you data in a moment to prove it to you. Because I just told you a bunch of stuff, but I want to show you a bunch of stuff. So we're going to take a 10-minute break.
Sounds good.